Hey guys, it's Jen. This video is going to go through the process I used to create my paper bag mini album. I had many requests for this, so I hope that it makes sense. I took a lot of pictures as I went through and did a voiceover trying to explain what I did. There is also a video near the end that shows you how to hand sew in the signatures. And then I'm also going to link below the video to the finished album that shows the tags that are inserted and everything, because I don't have photos of that at the very end of this. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to message me. I think watching the whole video will be helpful because some of the pictures later on help things to make more sense. But so enjoy, and I hope you guys find this helpful. What I started with here are some regular lunch sacks and some regular cardstock. You can use anything you want. And the first thing I did was cut the lunch bags on the open end to the desired length that I want. And as we go through the pictures, it will hopefully make more sense as you see more pictures. But the first thing I did was take score tape and adhered down all of the bottom flaps so that they look like that. And what we're going to have is, I used 6 lunch bags for mine, and what I did was I made a signature out of 2 lunch bags where I adhered the bottom flaps together, and I'll show you that in a minute. But before I did anything with my bags, I like to adhere the gussets closed, just because when it's done, I think it makes for a more stable album. But this is an optional step. It's just something that I like to do. And then I picked out some ink and just edged all of my papers before I adhered them. And then I went ahead and used score tape and started adhering my papers. So you put a large square on the right, and then you're also going to cover the left hand little bottom flap, which I did right here. And so here's an example of the right and left side covered. And you're going to cover both of the large flaps on either side of the bag, but for the bottom of the bag, you only need to cover one side because we're going to adhere the two together and make a pocket. So like I said, as we go through the photos, it should make more sense. I decided to take some ribbon and cover the end flaps of all my bags. And I just used score tape to do that and wrapped it around both sides. So here's the finished product. And then I went ahead and cut off the ends and then used a lighter to just seal the end of my ribbon. So, and sealing the end of the ribbon would really depend on what type of ribbon that you're using. You need to have some type of synthetic fiber to use a lighter and seal it. So here's a better picture that shows one signature. I have 2 bags, and I am going to adhere the 2 bottom flaps together to make a pocket. And then here is a photo of all 3 signatures done with all of the papers adhered and the ribbon added to the ends. Now these 3 signatures are not adhered together, only they're only adhered right now by the little pocket that was created in between each signature, if that makes sense. So on the left here, you see the first signature and then the little pocket in the middle. And okay, so the next thing I did is worked on the cover, and the cover is a combination of 2 bags. And I added a bunch of score tape where my binding was going to be. And the width of your binding is going to depend on how wide, your signatures are all put together. So that's something you kind of have to measure out on your own. And then I covered that with a piece of paper. So here is an example of what it would look like. I have my first bag going around, and I'm going to take a second bag and adhere it, and so that it wraps around the front. But right now I'm just worrying about getting the making sure my signatures will fit in there, and I'm going to hand sew those in. And there's a video coming up that I've inserted here that will show you how to do the hand signature. And so this is just another view of the cover on the left and my signatures on the right, kind of just floating in there at the moment. And this is the picture of the cover wrapping around the top, and then I have my second bag laying underneath, and that is going to wrap around the front from the right hand side, just like this. And that's a view from the inside before it's covered with the paper. So I adhered the two bags together here and started adding my additional papers to cover the bag. And this is a view of the signatures on the left and the cover on the right. So now I'm gonna show you guys how to sew in the signatures. And the first thing I did was created this template so I could determine where I wanted my holes. So here is the center where the binding is, and I just marked off where I wanted all of my holes and used an awl to punch those. And then I'm going to let it go ahead now into the video to show you guys how to actually sew those signatures in. Hey guys, for this part of the video, I want to show you how I sew in the signatures. I just thought this last one, it'd be good if I could just show you. So here are the holes that I have punched, if you can see them, for the last signature. These two are already sewn in and tied on the side, and I'm going to cover this with paper, so that's all going to be covered. So what I'm going to do is take my last signature, and I've also poked holes in the signature, so that will help me. So am I in frame? Yes, okay. So I'm going to just go through. I'm going to start so that my string is going to be tied here on the outside. And I'm going to sew up and then back down. And it's okay for it not to be totally tight yet, because we'll pull all the strings in a minute to tighten it up. And having these, holes measured out, I did mine an inch apart, is very helpful. And I'm using like a button craft thread that is a little bit thicker than normal thread, so that there's no chance of it breaking. And so when I get to the top here, I'm going to pull my string tight, my thread. Oops. Got a little knot. Okay. So I'm going to hold this string down here. And so I'm going to pull it tight now. Make sure I don't have any gaps. Find my needle, and then I am going to, so let me just do a close-up. So we have stitch there, and I'm just going to go back, straight back down in the holes that I already went through to kind of complete the stitching. And that part's just a little bit trickier because everything is tight now.
And you could still even do this a little bit looser if you're having a hard time finding the holes. Or just wiggle your needle. Try not to poke a new hole. And then pull all your strings when you're done. Oh. Okay, so now I have 4 completed stitches on the inside, and then on the back side here, I am gonna pull these all tight and just tie it together, and then that is my last signature, and I'm gonna continue on.
And I'm just finishing up the cover. I've added all my paper, and especially this front piece of paper. I forgot to mention this. The cardstock that you're going to be adding to the cover, you want to be your very last step if you do not want the sewing from your signature to show. So I've wrapped this piece of paper around to cover all of my sewing from the outside. Now you can do a couple different things here. You can do one piece on the cover and do a separate piece on the binding. I used one piece that wrapped all the way around. What you have to be careful with that is that you adhere it really well, because when you open it, the paper will want to pull away a little bit from the binding. But I just used quite a bit of score tape there and wrapped it all the way around. And then I had a seam in the back, so I just added a little piece of paper to hide my seam. And then this is the inside back cover. And so my album was ready to be decorated and have the photos added now. I used 4x4 prints from Persnickety Prints. And I edged all of them with StazOn ink. And I will put a link below. Those are all the photos I have. I'll put a link below to the video which shows all of the, I just made tags to go into each of the 3 pockets that were in between the signatures and decorated the cover. So I hope this helps you guys. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.